I've often talked about how the ambiguity of Zelda's world building and lore is a part of what makes it so interesting. As the player, we aren't given all the answers to what we find in Hyrule. Often huge parts of the game's stories are left deliberately unexplained. These mysteries can be poignant and thought-provoking, like the disappearance of Navi at the end of Ocarina of Time, but others range from unsettling to downright terrifying. Today, let's run through some creepy or strange Zelda mysteries. Of all the many songs Link can play on his ocarina, the Elegy of Emptiness is perhaps the most enigmatic. It's taught to Link by King Egos du Ikana, who says it will summon a soldier who has no heart. Playing it will cause Link to shed an empty shell, a mirror image of himself seemingly carved from wood. The shell created differs depending on which form Link is in. When he's wearing the Zora mask, Goron mask, or Deku mask, the shells created resemble Mikau, Darmani, and the Deku Butler's son, the deceased people whose spirits are contained within these masks. This is interesting because the Elegy of Emptiness isn't just creating mirror images, it's creating shells based on the spirit of the person who plays the song. While wearing the Goron mask, Link looks completely different to the statue created by the song. It creates a statue based on the appearance of Darmani, the spirit responsible for the Goron mask's power to give Link the appearance and abilities of a Goron. So what happens when Link plays the Elegy of Emptiness without wearing a mask, while in his Hylian form? Instead of the blank, dead eyes of the spirits of the masks, this shell, supposedly the mirror image of Link, stares with clear blue eyes. Its face is eerily human, yet very different to Link's, its mouth pulled into a strange grimace. If the Elegy of Emptiness creates these shells based on the soul or spirit of whoever plays the song, then who's this? Shouldn't it just be a perfect copy of Link? There are countless theories on who this statue is and what it means, but the truth behind the Elegy of Emptiness remains a mystery. Below the cold earth, sealed in the thick darkness of forgotten tombs, the Redeads walk. Emaciated, unsettlingly human figures shuffle through the blackness, their faces hidden behind strange wooden masks. What exactly the Redeads are is a mystery in itself, one I've covered before on the channel, but perhaps just as interesting is the way these creatures interact with one another. In their debut game, Ocarina of Time, Redeads will ordinarily keep distance from one another, waiting to paralyze their prey with a blood-curdling scream before moving in for the kill. But if you manage to avoid the grasp of decaying arms and slay a Redead, it will curl up into the fetal position on the floor, where it will remain for some time before vanishing. This is completely different to how most enemies are defeated, where they immediately explode. This strange death happens in the Wind Waker too. Though they still burst into a purple cloud like other enemies, they only do so after lying still on the ground for a long time. In Ocarina of Time, the death of a Redead causes others nearby to behave quite strangely. When the dying enemy curls up on the floor, other Redeads will begin to shuffle towards it. Because they're so slow, they'll rarely reach their lost kin before it disappears, but if they do, they'll crouch down over its corpse. It's not clear exactly what the other Redeads are doing here. Perhaps they aren't just mindless monsters, and this is them mourning the loss of one of their own. Or perhaps they're cannibalizing their dead, crouching down to consume the rotting flesh. I don't know which answer is creepier. Either they're eating fallen Redeads, or they're sentient enough to feel sadness and mourn for their kin. Tail Cave is the first dungeon in Link's Awakening, found just north of Toronbo Shores. It protects the full moon cello, the first instrument of the sirens that will allow Link to wake the Windfish and escape Koholint Island. The cello is guarded by Moldorm, a giant worm boss which tries to knock Link off its platform, causing him to fall into a room below and have to restart the fight. If you fall down from Moldorm's chamber, you'll end up in a room with 3 skeletons hanging from their necks on metal chains. This was present in the original game too, 3 skeletons, loosely clothed in rags, hanging from the ceiling. Considering Moldorm doesn't imprison or hang its victims, it simply crushes them or knocks them off its platform, you have to wonder who these skeletons were, and why they're found hanging here. Of course, there is the fact that, spoiler alert, Koholint is all just the dream of the Windfish, meaning that these skeletons aren't real. But the people within this dream do appear to be sentient. They live out their lives oblivious to the truth about their reality. So perhaps these hanging corpses did once belong to people living on Koholint Island, imprisoned and hanged with chains for some unknown crime or by some unknown foe. For the countless peaceful years before Breath of the Wild, the Calamity Ganon was remembered as little more than a fairy tale, a boogeyman to scare children at night. So when the beast rose from deep below the castle and a familiar shadow fell on Hyrule, the kingdom's people would have been terrified. A monster from storybooks, here in the flesh. But Ganon's return wasn't completely out of the blue. It had been foretold in prophecy, and the king had put in place an ancient defense mechanism to neutralize the threat. Hundreds of mobile automated guardians were excavated and restored, and looming over all were the 4 mighty divine beasts, piloted by Hyrule's 4 greatest warriors. Ganon, though, was cunning. He sent forth his malice to seize control of the Guardians, bringing the war machines under his control, and sent Blights, essentially Phantom Ganons, to the divine beasts. Though the heroes within fought bravely, one by one they fell to the Blights, and within minutes, the beasts too belonged to Ganon. The Blight Ganons themselves have a strange appearance. Each is made primarily of malice, the energy of the Calamity, which makes sense. They were sent to the divine beasts as globs of malice. But they're also built from Sheikah tech. Funnels, vents, limbs, even weaponry appear to be Sheikah made. Obviously, Sheikah tech was made over 10,000 years ago, during the era of the tribe's prosperity, when the technological advancements won the kingdom peace. So perhaps the Blight Ganons are simply the result of Ganon's malice fusing with Sheikah tech that was already found within the divine beasts. We know that the Calamity Ganon's horrific form was the result of his malice splicing itself with Sheikah technology in a desperate attempt to rebuild a physical body, so this is most likely the case for the Blight Ganons too. However, the closer we look at the Blights, the stranger things get. They aren't just fused with seemingly random Sheikah armaments, they're each specifically kitted out to mirror their divine beast's respective champion. Fire Blight Ganon wields a single huge blade, like Daruk, and uses an ability uncannily similar to Daruk's protection. Water Blight Ganon uses a weapon resembling a spear and has a degree of control over water like Mipha. Thunder Blight Ganon can control lightning and wields a sword and shield just like Urbosa. And Wind Blight Ganon can summon tornadoes and uses a powerful ranged weapon like Revali. Each Blight is designed almost as a mockery of their champion. Hyrule's greatest warriors lost in their duels against these monsters, which used their own skills and abilities against them. The mighty Daruk was overpowered by Fire Blight. The master marksman Revali lost in a firefight with Wind Blight. It's poetic, but story-wise, how did this happen? As I said earlier, Sheikah technology is a lost art. Aside from some exceptions like Robbie, who was able to cobble together ancient daggers into the makeshift ancient arrows, nobody can work with it or create new Sheikah weapons until long after the Calamity when the scientist sets up Cherry. Ganon isn't capable of creating it either, just corrupting it and seizing it for his own use. Which means, before Malice was sent to the Divine Beasts, even as far back as 10,000 years ago, there must have existed some Sheikah technology there that closely matched the weapons and combat styles of the Beast's future champions. So, perhaps the Sheikah, with their incredible gift of clairvoyance, foresaw the champions of Hyrule as the Beast's pilots and built weapons for them. This would work, and would explain why the weapons that Ganon corrupted were found within the beasts in the first place. Except for the fact that the Blights, and their weapons, are completely different sizes to the champions. Thunderblight is the closest in size, being the smallest Blight, but just looking at the difference between Mipha and Water Blight Ganon shows that these weapons can't have been intended for use by these champions. In truth, we don't know what the Blights really are, aside from phantoms birthed from malice. Somehow, it's clear that they pervert some Sheikah technology found within the beasts, which results in killing machines that eerily mirror their intended targets. At some point on Hyrule's darkest night, Daruk, Urbosa, Mipha and Revali must have felt their strength failing as they clashed with Ganon's spawn, not only faced with the reality of failing their kingdom and their people, but being beaten at their own game. The Stone Tower Temple is one of Zelda's strangest dungeons. It's found in the Ikana region of Termina, a broken kingdom plagued by a curse, the ruins of which are home now only to the dead. The temple itself makes use of light puzzles and inversion, and its boss, Twin Mold, is fought using the Giant's Mask in a sprawling, mysterious desert. The dungeon has two mini-bosses, the Garrow Master, an undead general of a nation at war with Ikana, and Gomes. Immediately, Gomes' appearance is strange. He resembles the Grim Reaper, cloaked in shadowy black robes and wielding a huge scythe. Strangely, Gomes seems to be made out of bats. They cover his body and must be scattered with the use of a light arrow before the enemy can be damaged. It seems as if the true source of Gomes' power, or the true essence of Gomes itself, is the small green orb shielded within its chest. Damaging this orb is the only way to actually damage the boss. The lore of the Ikana region is incredibly sparse and deliberately vague. It's one of the most mysterious areas in the Zelda series. With the knowledge of the ancient kingdom and the war they fought against the Garrow, we can piece together parts of the Ikana story, but not Gomes. It's never explained. Its connection to Ikana or to the Stone Tower Temple is never revealed. The Stalchild skull found adorning the monster's scythe hints at a sinister connection between Gomes and the people of the Ikana kingdom. It's a region inextricably linked to death and sorrow, and so an enemy designed to resemble the Grim Reaper, carrying with him an Ikanan's skull, fits thematically. Gomes could symbolize the sad state of the Ikana region, a literal appearance of death itself. It's interesting that it can only be wounded by attacking this green orb. This is a common characteristic of a Lich, an undead necromancer who seeks eternal life. Traditionally, Liches hide or secure their life essence in what's called a phylactery, a physical object that stores their soul so they can live on even after their bodies are destroyed. Perhaps Gomes might be an example of a Lich, a powerful sorcerer which stores its life essence in a strange green orb. Regardless, the identity of Gomes remains yet another unsolved mystery in Majora's Mask. Thanks for watching this video. Sorry for no upload last week, I got a bit distracted. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.